It's very easy. If you type in one of your guys sitting there right now, if you guys are at a computer, just go to Google. Type in let's type in geoengineering companies or weather modification companies. One of those two search terminologies. You will come up with a list of companies that sell weather modification that will promise your wedding will be perfectly clear. Or maybe you want a snowy wedding. They'll give you snow on your wedding.
That's amazing.
There's companies out there that promote this. They're on the internet selling it. So are these the companies that are spraying these things up there? Are these the companies that are what we call NGOs, non-governmental organizations that are funded by government to produce these things, to experiment with these things? That story I was reading, it's a Smithsonian.com story. I'm looking at it right now. It's called the Airplane Contrails May Be Creating Accidental Geoengineering.
Yeah,
that's the story I was reading in that show you listen to.
Yeah, I recall.
And it's amazing as you read through it. They're literally laying out exactly what the people like Michael J. Murphy, G. Edward Griffin, these guys have all been looking into this for literally almost a decade now, which is about, they've been experimenting with it for a long, long time. They've been experimenting with it, I'd say, about 20 to 25 years.
Yeah, I'm looking at
it. You'll see it randomly.
I'm looking at it right now on Wikipedia, and there's cloud seeding. There's all kinds of things, that storm prevention, that it does date back quite a bit. 1958, 62 to 83, the government was involved. So yeah, MIT was involved too. So you're not wrong. You're not wrong about it.
The easiest way to prove it, one of the most provable things that we can control weather. Forget chemtrails, forget HARP, forget any of that stuff. That we can produce the effect of weather that we want to produce is all you have to go to is Vietnam. What did they do in Vietnam? They cloud seeded to flood the Ho Chi Minh Trail to try to stop. This is on record. This is provable. This is not even questionable. Mm-hmm. They cloud seeded to flood the Ho Chi Minh Trail to try to stop the flow of supplies.
Amazing, So you don't have to go back too far to figure it out, or at least to get an edge on it, Unbelievable.
And listen, I'm not telling people to take my word for it. My co-host, Forto Jones, he used to be one of my co-hosts when I did my show on Saturday. Great guy. We agree on 95% of things. This is the one thing we do not agree on. It's chemtrails. Yeah. We can't come to an agreement on it. He thinks I'm crazy. I think he's crazy. We go back and forth about it. And that's the hardest thing, because as older people, I mean, really, I want you to go back to when you were 10 years old. Do you ever remember seeing big, long, crossing lines, checkerboards in the sky, fading into just this haze over you? Do you ever remember that?
I grew up in Chicago, and I was 10 in 1985, and maybe around that time I can remember seeing a trail from a plane, but not in any kind of a pattern, and not like we looked outside today over Pasco County, and they're all over the place, just this afternoon. You know what I mean?
Guys, I just got to say, Sean, it's Jaber here, and I have a tough time remembering what I did yesterday. So,
Yeah, that's the Quaaludes, man.
10's killing me.
He used to know Bill Cosby back then, so he's still got a stash from back then.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
But so, I love the intelligence that you're bringing to our show, because we lack this a lot of times. We just try to be funny, and I appreciate everything you're saying. So.
Yeah, Pops is over there saying the same thing, man. He was getting all up on us in the first hour about how we're, save that stuff for private conversation. He's getting all pissed off.
I like to have these kind of conversations. You know what? This is the thing that is interesting about what I do, or just about conspiracies in general, if we're going to use that term.
I was going to say something to you. I almost hate the term conspiracy. I mean, it's more like realistic ideology. It's not conspiracy. I don't like to say it that way, because it makes it sound like it's not true. And so much of what you're saying, there's definite, you know,
some truth to it. Maybe
there's definite truth to it, and
95% of it is government cover.
Not to interrupt
there's
you,
questions to be had with it. I appreciate that, man. I really do. And I use the term conspiracy, I guess, because I've been labeled with it. And I don't know if you guys ever knew this, but in the 1960s, the CIA kind of started using that term to try to push away some of these things that were going on.
Dumb it down.
That's really where the.
No,
what's that?
I said like they're trying to dumb it down a little bit or something, and they make it sound
make it unbelievable.
Yeah, so that the people that are questioning it are wrong for questioning it. Now we're all conspiracy theorists or something crazy, you know.
All right, Sean, we're gonna have to. I do want to bring up one subject with you, and then we might kind of have to get moving. But
he's gonna have to get moving.
What about Roswell?
Yeah, what do you think of aliens, Area 51? Let's go down the list with you. Okay.
Okay, that works for me, yeah. Aliens are something that was probably one of the first things I started researching as a kid.
Nice.
I believe I've seen a ship. I was about, what was I? I think 19 or 20. I grew up in about 2 acres in South Jersey, right outside the Wharton State Forest. And I was sitting out back of my house, my parents' house. I was having a few beers, I won't lie, but it was this ship just like went over me. It was crazy. It was I ran inside. I'm like, I think an alien ship just went over us. Now, we were near McGuire Air Force Base, like I said. We were about 25, 30 miles out, but we were in the flight path. Yeah. So could it have been a C-5? Possibly. But I grew up, around military stuff. I grew up on military bases, doing training as a kid. Yada, yada, yada. So I know what aircraft sound like. I've been to air shows,
Yeah.
So it didn't sound like an aircraft to me. When it comes to the alien question, I absolutely believe that if you look up in the sky and you honestly think that where we live is the only place an intelligent life form is, you've got a major problem because there's not even an intelligent life form here. So
I like you, buddy. I like you now for sure.
That's good stuff.
Absolutely.
All right.
Does George Adamski mean anything to you?
Pops, he can't hear you because you're like, oh, maybe he could hear you.
Did he say Georgia Guidestones, did he say?
George Adamski.
George Adamski? I don't know.
George Adamski. It rings a bell, but you know how many names come and go out of my head on a daily basis?
All right.
This guy supposedly took a trip to Venus with a extraterrestrial.
Took a trip to Venus with an extraterrestrial. That's definitely believable, Pops.
Well, there's also the story. Pops might know the story. I forget the guy's name, but he claims that he had a shootout in a secret bunker with aliens.
Awesome.
This was, I think, like late 70s, early 80s, he claimed this. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that.
I never heard about that, but it doesn't surprise me, I'd mess up some aliens if I could.
Good evening, sir. I'm one of the gentlemen that participate in this. I'm homeless Chuck. How are you, buddy?
Good, Chuck. How you doing?
Good. I'm trying to think back on the book that I read about the guy that went through progressive hypnotism, and it went back and back through a variety of lives, and the hypnotist actually was able to document these events occurred, and then it finally went all the way back to where he was actually like part of like the Sumerian race, and actually was able to establish references to the dog star and such. And then there's so many other religions, like the dogmas out in Africa. They had a duality religion about them, and they didn't realize until the 70s that was actually a dual star. There's a lot of stuff that I'd love to touch base on this at one point.
Well, see, and I was answering the alien question, but see, I don't really. These things are things I don't focus on because, although I do believe, and I want to make sure this is clear, I do believe there's other life forms in this universe. I believe there's a lot of other life forms within our own galaxy. But that's things that I cannot
control or be involved in. I got you.
Right, and I'm not trying to poo-poo it or anything, and I know other people that like to talk about it that I can definitely connect you with.
Right, but we can only influence our here and now.
Speaking of here and now,
exactly. So that's what I focus on.
Right, I got you. And thank you for your time. I appreciate it, man.
Homeless Chuck's going to go back behind that dumpster. That's great. All right, how about something that everybody's familiar with? Tony Stewart. Do you think he murdered that guy on the dirt track?
Excuse me, sorry. I was taking a hit of my e-cigarette at the time. I'm fighting off this cold. You know what? Racing, dude. Shit happens, and why didn't the dude just stay in his car where he should have been? That's my personal opinion on it.
I agree, but if you look at that video, he kind of throttles him a little bit, and then
no way.
I don't think he meant to kill him, but he throttled him, dude. He totally throttled him.
He couldn't even see him, man.
Hey, no. Remember when I've never driven one of those cars, but people that do drive those cars tell you that to steer them, sometimes you have to throttle.
True. I heard that argument, and that is a great argument. It really is.
You're looking left. The guy came off from his right. He wasn't looking to his right. He was turning left,
in the video, man,
turn left,
Tony Stewart, he goes up the track a little bit, like he's going at him, and then he throttles out of it. It's a really fine line, and obviously they found him not guilty of it, so who are we to say? But
hey, here's what I'll say about that. If you're going to be dumb enough to get out of a race car in the middle of a racetrack, no matter what kind of racing it is, you get what you deserve.
Throwing your helmet at him. He wasn't even wearing his helmet anymore, was he? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at the guy.
Rest in peace, brother. That's all.
How about
what's your next one?
Yeah.
What's your next one?
Thank you. Real quick, I'm going to run down this line because I know you got stuff to do. And all right, how about Obama?
You got me, dude. I'm all good. Don't rush. Don't worry.
Okay. How about Obama's dual citizenship and his birth certificate? Do you think that was faked? Do you think that he really was an Indonesian resident at some point, and that cancels him out from being a citizen of the United States because of dual citizenship, that he can't run for president? Or what do you think of that?
Yeah, I absolutely believe. I downloaded his birth certificate from the White House website when they made it available. Mm-hmm. The copy I took off of the website, I used some videos that were out there that were pointing out some discrepancies. Yes, you can zoom in to the signature and find a smiley face in the signature. You can find different print sets,
like templates,
on the date.
Yeah,
different typesets on the dates. Yes, there are things on that birth certificate that are well worth questioning. Do I know? Do I know whether he's another not eligible to be president? No, I don't know for sure, but I don't believe he is. The evidence I've seen points that he is not a natural-born citizen of this country, as far as what I've seen.
I agree, 100%. I was checking it out this morning. And all right, cool. Let's go with all right. While we're on the president, what about his wife, Michelle Obama? Do you think she's really a man? You can't deny the bulge, you know.
I've thought that many a times, dude, and there's been a lot of stories out there of Obama maybe being a little light in the loafers.
Yeah.
So let's just take the global leader controlling the world. They put this man in power. They've chosen him. They needed to make him look. It's all theater. Go to what was the movie with the actor and the president had died, but he looked just like the president. And they put him in place.
Oh yes.
He was in the one movie. He played in the great comedy movie. Oh God, yeah.
I don't know.
I agree with you,
Michael.
No, I agree with you. Most guys that are in the theater are light in the loafers.
Michael Keaton.
That's not true. Come on, dude. Anyway,
and they weren't ready for a black gay president all at the same time.
All at the same time. That's awesome. I saw a YouTube video. I'm sorry. Go ahead, dude.
I got his iPad. He's got show tunes on it.
No, I saw a YouTube video of Michelle Obama. It was like 26 minutes long. I saw it on like a Facebook link, so I know it's true. And I've thought like, oh my God, 26 minutes, there's no way I'm going to watch this whole thing. And I watched like the first 30 seconds of it, and I got roped into it. I watched the whole thing. And they were like measuring the size of her head and the length of her fingers and, showing her shoulders and all these pictures with the bulge and all that stuff. And it was hilarious, but it was also like intriguing at the same time,
And disturbing a little bit too, I'm sure.
Yes.
All right, how about this one, my friend? No, go ahead.
Listen. You don't know what these elites are into.
Exactly.
And when I say, it's not the Illuminati. I know. We joke with Shannon, and yes, a lot of people, and I'm not saying the Illuminati doesn't exist, but there really is and you have to admit there's an elite group of people that are in charge of the